Good afternoon or morning, everyone, depending on what coast you're on or in the middle of the United States. Some of you I see popping up were with us last week in Racine. Had a really great week in our annual conference there, hosted by Gateway Technical College. Some really great conversations around the same topic that we're talking about today, the future of work, which is all about Industry 4.0, and a lot of folks who call in things into Industry 5.0. One of my colleagues at the conference said, let's just start calling it Infinity.0 because who knows where the numbers will go. I think we're very short on even fulfilling the 4.0, so I'm going to just stick with 4.0. But we've got some great speakers today on the panel, and we're going to focus on pillar number one, which is our future work Industry 4.0 today. And if you haven't gotten the newsletter in your inbox, I will put it in the chat as we move through this webinar today. But I would like to turn it over to our great moderator from Lone Star College in Texas, Linda Head. She's the Senior Associate Vice Chancellor for Strategic Partnerships there, and she's been a wonderful member of our board of directors for the last few years, and she is one of the best moderators we've ever seen. So Linda, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce the panel and take it from here. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Craig. It's fun to have a job where I get to talk and people get to listen. I was born for radio, I think. Our first speaker, we're very excited, is Dr. Claire Korshanowski. And Claire currently serves as the Dean of Instruction for Professional and Technical Programs in Manufacturing Aviation Technology at Clover Park Technical College in the state of Washington. Claire has a deep understanding of the mission of our community and technical college system and Clover Park Technical College's economic impact on communities and families. During her tenure, she has worked to implement new workforce training programs in fields such as mechatronics, cybersecurity, and avionics. She has expanded Bachelor's of Applied Science and Bachelor of Science offerings at Clover Park. She has inspired to lead former community college students and has devoted her career to providing innovative instruction and programming for students by working collaboratively, blah, 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 with stakeholders to enhance regional economic competitiveness. With more than 17 years of administrative practice in community and technical colleges in Washington and Nevada, Dr. Korshanowski, I'm skipping over everything today, I'm sorry, Claire, is an expert in creating and implementing dynamic departments and sustainable programs that prioritize community diversity and civic responsibility. She holds a master's in education from Western Washington University and a doctorate in education leadership from the University of Massachusetts. She has been recognized for her professional accomplishments by receiving an Outstanding Alumnus Award, which is really unusual and really cool, from Western Washington University. And she believes that education can transform lives of students and their families for generations. And when she is not at work, and I love this part, she spends her time with her family, raising 2 girls and enjoying the recreational adventures of the Pacific Northwest. And we look forward to hearing from you and get a synopsis of your article in the NCATC newsletter. Claire, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Linda, for that fabulous introduction, and Craig for the opportunity to write an article about Industry 4.0 and how questioning if colleges, like technical colleges such as Clover Park Technical College and other colleges that you all work with, can keep pace with the expectations of Industry 4.0. A couple of highlights from the article. And Linda, may I just share my screen? I have 2 quick slides.
Please.
Okay, great. Excellent. So I have been introduced over the last couple of years to an author, a historical author who's no longer alive. If you might have read his work, he was very popular in the 50s, but he is famous for a quote that says, "The illiterate of the future are not those who can't read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn," by futurist Alan Toepler. This quote cannot encapture more of what Industry 4.0 is expecting of industry and expecting of the workforce. If we think about the skill sets that we work to build in our programs, we often think in traditional ways where we're building degree programs and the students go through that degree pathway. And then when they're done, we celebrate that with a graduation ceremony, and we're so proud of our students and what they accomplished. But what Industry 4.0 says to us is, with the ever so changing rapid pace of technology, that if you're going to be successful within that environment, not only are you not done at graduation, but you're not ever done learning. We talk a lot about that, about continuous learning in our perhaps corporate education offices, or if we're doing professional development. But I think that this is more true around Industry 4.0, and our programs have to fundamentally change. And I question, because of our historical nature, if colleges can keep up with the pace and the expectations of Industry 4.0. A few things that I wrote about in my article, I talk about training and developing professional technical faculty. We all know that it is not a challenge to find professional technical faculty that come to us with industry experience, that have a wealth of knowledge, perhaps in broad areas in Industry 4.0, and that can teach to a wide audience of our population that we serve. That is not an easy skill set to find. And working towards the future around how to build and grow 4.0, Industry 4.0 professional technical faculty is a challenge ahead of us. In my article, I talk a little bit about how we have to perhaps grow our own, thinking about ways that we would look at competencies in a more of a transferable skill set than in a traditional hiring methods that we have, in terms of, do they have the master's degree preparing them for an Industry 4.0 environment, where we know that that is not perhaps feasible today. In addition to that, I talk about continuous learning for success. Again, Toffler's comments and quote around learn, unlearn, relearn is fundamentally critical to the mindset that not only do we teach our students, but the model in which we need to set up our professional technical education. Perhaps we no longer do the start to finish linear programs, that we look at ways for individuals to continue to come in and come out after they do get that initial degree. What are those additional things that we need to do to continue that advancement? And then I also wrote about, we cannot do this alone. Often colleges rely upon being awarded federal grants, being awarded local state grants to be able to design and implement new innovative programs. I think working with organizations such as NCATC to not only learn from one another, but to start to develop a collaborative environment amongst administrators, amongst faculty. And then if we can actually get to the resource sharing also beyond just curriculum sharing, would be a necessity for the future, because we cannot do it alone. Often some of us are very wealthy, we get lots of grants. Looking at the example of Gateway Technical College last week at our annual conference, what an amazing example of a tremendous amount of years of work to grow those partnerships. Not all of us are fortunate to have those relationships in our backyard. And I think that's where the collaborative learning can really help strengthen across different regions, across different counties, and throughout the country. So those are the three key points around Industry 4.0, is learning to be adaptive, learn, unlearn, relearn, that we need to set up models in our programs for continuous learning, that our students, we don't ever really want them to leave. Perhaps they come back to learn those new skills. And then for collaborative learning environments, we have to work together to share our resources, share our knowledge, and really enhance that learning environment so that faculty and our students can flourish. So Linda, those are the key points of the article that I wrote.
So Claire, it sounds like you're really seeing with this lifelong learning more of an integration in workforce education between credit, continuing education, and maybe even customized training than ever before.
Yeah, I think that we push the narrative on what that is. And I think that really matters in having those, keeping relationships with our industry partners to, if the student in that traditional model ends up then working for that employer, what are the skill sets that that individual needs to continue in a true Industry 4.0 environment? Because we know that that is an interdisciplinary skill set when it comes to use of the technology there.
And one last question. At the conference last week, we had huge strategic partner relationships and lots of presentations with our strategic partners. Did you see new ways of partnering? We referenced a couple times, and Craig mentioned we don't call our strategic partners vendors. They are truly partners. Did you see for your college new ways to partner with these strategic partners rather than just that you buy something and then
Right.
did you see some new ways for your own college in light of Industry 4.0?
Yeah, I think, or an enhanced way, and perhaps this gives me an opportunity to plug, if you're in the Pacific Northwest area on October 16th and 17th, we are hosting a collaboration event with the Siemens Corporation, and Siemens Collaborates with Education was present at our event last week, and we're taking that relationship further. We're creating a regional event with them that is demonstrating not only the technology, the training and the support to build that together. And so we're taking that opportunity to showcase that within the region of the Pacific Northwest. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see the link to that event. Would love to see you there if you can make it out. So Linda, I would say it's an enhancement of a relationship that we met in the past at NCATC. So, and NCATC is a great opportunity to make those connections, not only for me, but the faculty that tend to join me every year.
Love that. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah. So people that watch this webinar online will be able to follow up with you on that. Thank you. Appreciate that. Well done.
Sure.
Our next speaker then is Dr. Richard Almond. Richard, are you up? You ready to go? And Richard has a background in advanced technology center development, leadership and career and technical education programs, and collaboration with industry leaders to shape workforce education. Currently, he holds the position of Executive Director of Workforce Initiatives at the College of Lake County. He has previously held the Interim Executive Dean of Education, Interim Vice President of Education, and the Chief Academic Officer roles within the institution. His career journey includes roles such as Career and Technical Education Specialist at the Madison Metropolitan School District, Dean of Business, Management, General Studies, and Pre-College at Southwest Technical College, and Associate Dean positions, Business and Healthcare. That's something I've never been responsible for is healthcare. I can't even imagine. At Milwaukee Area Technical College. In each role, he has demonstrated expertise in student development, administrative management, program management, and community engagement and advocacy. He holds a doctorate of education in leadership studies from West Virginia University and a master's in education from Frostburg State University. His focus on enhancing educational systems and driving growth and development within communities, along with his commitment to forging meaningful partnerships, positions him as a champion of academic leadership. He also, I noticed on LinkedIn, serves as a combat medic in the Wisconsin Army National Guard, which is, I thought, really cool. I had to add that myself. He didn't originally have that in his bio, but I think that's really neat, Richard. So you can look him up and all of our speakers on LinkedIn, of course. So with that, I'm going to leave it with you to discuss your article, please. And you have slides too, right?
Oh, yes, I do. There we go. Can you see them?
Yes, we can see them.
Right. Well, good afternoon or morning, everyone. Today we're diving into the article I wrote about the wild world of quantum computing, a technology so advanced it makes your laptop look like a toaster with a keyboard. Now, I know what you're thinking, quantum, right? Isn't that the stuff from sci-fi movies where people accidentally create a black hole in their basement? Well, don't worry, we're not going to collapse the universe during this drop-in session, just to show you how quantum computing is going to shake up workforce training in the future to include many of the technical programs that we all manage in our advanced technology centers. And lucky you, you'll be the ones getting to explain this mind-bending technology to students without making their heads explode. So with that, let's get quantum and talk about quantum computing. So what is quantum computing? Quantum computing uses, there we go. Quantum computing uses the principles of quantum mechanics to process information in fundamentally different ways than traditional computers. Unlike classical computers that use bits or of zeros or ones, quantum computers use quantum bits or qubits, which can represent both 0 and 1 simultaneously, thanks to superposition. This allows quantum computers to handle complex calculations at speeds unimaginable for classic computer systems. So for college administrators and faculty, this means that quantum technology has the potential to revolutionize industries like healthcare, finance, and logistics by solving problems faster and more efficiently than our current computers can do. And in fact, industries like pharmaceuticals, it'll accelerate drug discovery. In finances, it'll help to optimize complex transactions. And for cybersecurity, it'll strengthen our data encryption and our communications abilities. Investing in quantum education will prepare students for the future careers in emerging fields. And like I said, many of those fields currently exist within your programming. We're reminded with any technology or any technology at all, the 7-to-1 rule, where for every 1 PhD, there are 2 engineers and 7 technicians supporting that activity. Very similar to that, quantum computing needs currently for those companies using quantum computing, and in the future will require a lot of technicians. Very recently in 2023, QED created a workforce report where they interviewed companies currently working in the quantum computing field. And believe it or not, there's a shortage of technicians, just like every other field. But in this field as well, there's a shortage of quantum technicians. 46% of the companies are already seeking quantum skilled technicians of those companies surveyed, and technicians needed to scale quantum technologies are increasing. So as the technology increases and adaptation is increasing, we're going to need more and more technicians. Oops. So investing in quantum education now will prepare students for the future careers in the emerging field, where demand for quantum technicians and specialists is set to grow rapidly over the next few years. This emerging field offers exciting opportunities for not only our community colleges, but for also the industries in our communities. Community colleges are key to preparing the next generation of quantum technicians. We need to develop robust programs and partnerships to meet industry growing needs. So we need to be aware and listening to our community to see whether or not we're inviting companies in to participate in quantum industries. In the state of Illinois, it's one of Governor Pritzker's top 6 initiatives is quantum computing. And the other last thing I'll leave you with is the fact that community colleges already have some of the building blocks that will support quantum computing, to include laser photonics optics, mechatronics, IT, etc. So with that, that is the end of my report. Thank you.
Richard, that's really fascinating. I was just met with one of the chancellors at the Texas State, well, the chancellor of the Texas State Technical College here in Texas yesterday. And we were remembering when mechatronics started in Texas and how we took industrial maintenance and the electronics and electricity, took a number of programs and brought it into 14 years ago, the start of mechatronics and how it's evolved over time. So are you seeing that mechatronics and other programs are bringing in more IT and some other kinds of programs to move into quantum, into this modern program?
Yeah, so right now, a lot of the development in quantum strategy and quantum teaching is currently in the laser photonics and optics field at the community college level. So we know that is absolutely starting across our country. There's several community colleges work on that. Other than that, you know, there has to be a crossover between all of these different technologies, because as we move forward, they're going to become more and more integrated. And we're seeing that in Industry 4.0, where you have to be an IT expert almost to work in these complex systems that connect to the IT network and the Internet of Things and communicating. So I think in the future you'll see a lot more integration of programming, and then where we need to, almost like an advanced technical degree on top of the technical degree that somebody's already has earned as part of a normal associate degree. And I know some states actually have advanced technical degrees as well. So this is an incredibly exciting time to be talking about quantum computing, because those things are starting to come together at colleges.
So you do see it as an opportunity for the states to be figuring out, since community colleges have much more applied degrees than universities, how we might have the technician piece of it, and then add either continuing education or another credit degree or certificate on top of that. That it's a great opportunity that the state should be looking at.
Correct.
And community college should be looking at. That's really fascinating. And in Illinois, Chicago, that area that we were all just in last week, that's a growing field.
Correct. You see New York, Boston, obviously California, and we're working very diligently in the state of Illinois to attract quantum industries through some tax incentives. We also received a grant from the U.S. government to put together a quantum research facility in Chicago. So there's already work being done. And in addition to that, there's other national programs and labs across the country already doing some of this work, as well as, you know, the larger companies like IBM, Google, etc., Microsoft.
Very, very interesting. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your insight on that, and we'll follow up with you. Thank you. And next, we have Dr. Zach Hubbard. And doctors, I'm getting better at reading the bio. Sorry, Claire, I was stumbly mumbly on yours. I don't know why. Now that I say that, I'll probably stumble over Zach's. Dr. Zach Hubbard serves as the Chief Information Officer at Rowan, I can't say this either, Cabarrus Community College, bringing over 14 years of experience in higher education. Throughout his career, he has held diverse roles, including faculty member, program chair, and dean in information technology-related disciplines. His expertise spans a range of IT fields, with a particular focus on cybersecurity and its applications in manufacturing. Dr. Hubbard is committed to leveraging his leadership and technical knowledge to drive innovation and enhance the college's technological infrastructure, while also advancing cybersecurity education and practices in the region. He also has expertise in instructional design and online education, and is very involved with a national organization that supports that work. I added that, Zach, since you mentioned that at our board meeting last week. I found that very interesting. His education background: he has a doctorate of education from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, a Master of Arts in Higher Education with a teaching focus from the Appalachian State University, and a Master of Business in Information Systems from the Appalachian State University. And I also want to add a special note that we all should please send your thoughts and prayers to his colleagues in North Carolina. And I'm so sorry at what your state's going through, and I'm sure you have friends and family around the state. And it's just devastating. So our thoughts and prayers are given to you, Zach.
Thank you, Linda. Yeah, it has been a very very awful week here in North Carolina. I do think today we are seeing quite a few more folks with power. So hopefully this week into the weekend continues to improve. All right. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today and to write the article for the newsletter. Here at RCCC, Linda, you did a great job pronouncing our name. We're Rowan Cabarrus, very, very close. And Rowan Cabarrus, when we think about the future of work or Industry 4.0, one of the first items that seems to hit many of us in our region in the face with that topic is the concept of broadening participation in all STEM careers, but maybe specifically in Industry 4.0 advanced manufacturing type roles. So as part of that broadening participation sort of mentality that we live by, we actually started a program a few years ago titled We It, or Women in Engineering and Industrial Technology. Technically, the title of our grant was Increasing Women in Engineering and Industrial Technology. And it was an NSF ATE project that the college was a part of from 2019 to 2024. You may notice that there's a few more than 3 years in that time period, as many of us may have experienced. We had a no-cost extension during COVID because many of the activities of our grant were in person and did not translate very well virtually. So it ended up being about a 6-year official project. We are continuing all of the activities from our grant because it was such a good experience for the college, and we saw very positive enrollment increases in all of our Industry 4.0 related degree programs. So why did we do this? Why We It? Well, I think this quote here kind of sums it up for us. This is from the Office of the Chief Economist of the United States that reported that men make up 52% of the workforce. However, they hold as much as 76% of the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics related jobs that currently exist. That was a report that was produced after the 2020 census. So as we are looking very squarely at 2025 here, I do realize it's getting a little bit of age on it. However, I think the most shocking thing about it is if you were to look at similar data from the 2010 census, there isn't a great amount of change in this from 2010 to 2020. So I feel like we've been talking about the need to increase or broaden participation for a long time. In some ways, we haven't seen that kind of pan out in the numbers. And I'm hoping that maybe by our next census, we start to see that come to fruition. All right, so in terms of what we did, there's a lot on this slide. So let me start with the kind of underlying principle of what our project looked like. For we felt like the most important piece was to identify what we labeled career influencers. So when I say career influencers, what I'm talking about is really those guidance counselors, parents, teachers, faculty, administrators. Gosh, it could be friends, neighbors, grandparents as well. Anyone who has the ability to help influence someone in their career choices. So a lot of our activities and our goals even related back to our ability to interact with those career influencers. So we put together a series of activities we wanted to do that were targeted not only at students, but those career influencers. So very quickly, we had industry tours. We did an event called Taste of Industry. We did an Industry Speaks series on campus where we had someone from one of our manufacturing partners come and speak once a month throughout the year. We did internal outreach to students in our English 111, our freshman English course, where we asked them to do a career research project and had Industry 4.0 elements throughout that research project. And we also developed a student club on campus that we called the We It Navigators or We It Ambassadors. as well. And they helped to kind of spread the word and talk about some of the things we were doing on campus with WeIt. I want to highlight Taste of Industry, one of those activities, really quickly for everyone. Taste of Industry turned out to be one of our most important lessons that we learned from this project. For Taste of Industry, what we do is we invite guidance counselors, teachers, faculty members, any employees from our K-12 partners to campus for one day. And our goal is to give them a taste of industry. So we had them rotate through sessions throughout the day with us. We bought them breakfast, we bought them lunch, and they would do a session on welding, a session on advanced manufacturing, a section on, we did electronics engineering, we did an IT section, we did a computer integrated machining session. And each of those sessions consisted of an actual lesson plan that those career influencers could take back to their school and emulate with their students. The idea was that we wanted to give them something tangible, something that they could go and spread the word about Industry 4.0. So on this picture you see here on the right, we put together a kit that we gave out to those career influencers. So we had some calipers, a calculator, we put a thumb drive with all of those lesson plans that they could take back and use on there. And we made them 3 posters that pictured women in engineering or industrial technology roles that they could hang in their classrooms. And then we gave them a Raspberry Pi for some of the more electronics or IT related activities. This is one of the marketing materials that we sort of used to get the word out about this. That year in 2018, we did IT, welding, machining, and engineering. So 4 sessions that they walked throughout the day. And we had participation at our highest point was over 80 teachers from our service area, which is a good chunk. The majority of them were not CTE teachers. A lot of them were English or history or other folks who wanted to learn how to integrate the concepts of how do I choose my career into their courses. So finally, I wanted to also share about our Lunch and Learn events. This was one of the first ones that we did. We wanted to feature women from industry around us. So this year we had LaTanya Andrews, who is a logistics supervisor at Trelleborg Boots here in Salisbury. And then we had Candace Salmonhosey, who's the Chief Technology Officer for one of our school systems. They gave a wonderful, inspiring talk to students in our Student Center. So we were able to pay for student lunches and bring them in to hear about these careers during that time as well. So that's it. I'm sad that our ATE project has come to an end, but RCCC is very committed to continuing all of these activities. We believe that the ability to influence those career influencers, if I can use influence twice in a sentence, is vitally important. And that's our major lesson that we learned. A couple people have asked in other presentations, our final report shows that we experienced during this time period an 11% increase in women in our engineering and industrial technology programs. That is probably in some part due to natural growth at the college, but we call that a victory. So very happy about that. Thank you, Linda.
Zach, that's amazing. And being a woman who was told by her father to be a teacher or a nurse and decided to be a business major, love that. And because my parents didn't really know what the choices were, right? They didn't know what the difference was between a chemical engineer and industrial engineer, electrical engineer. They didn't know what those people did. We didn't grow up in that kind of a town. So what about your own advisors and counselors? Do you think it also trained internally at your own college through this experience?
I do. We invited them every year, and we had, so this is our 6th Taste of Industry, really, and we've had almost every one of them cycle through it at some point. It's fascinating. They work here at the college, obviously, they're here every day, but I think they would go to these things and have questions that they wouldn't have otherwise thought about.
Yeah, I would think so, because they go through education and they work in education, right? They did not come from industry. That's really neat. Love that. We're very excited in that role, that model. Appreciate it. And did you do the same thing with IT? Did you also discuss the difference between cybersecurity, cloud services, Cisco, those things that come from your background so that people would understand the difference?
Yeah, we really did. And the IT session, the lesson plan we provided for teachers to take back to the high school was actually on that. So it was careers in all those different buckets.
Yeah, because they don't know what those things are.
No.
I was looking at your credentials in Cisco cybersecurity certification, those kinds of things. That's awesome. Well, thank you. Well, I'm sure people want to follow up with you. Appreciate it.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you. Our next and last speaker then is Hope Kotner, who is the president and CEO of the Center for Occupational Research and Development, CORD, a national nonprofit supporting educators in their efforts to help learners of all ages realize success in the career path of their choice. And all of us should be reaching out to Hope more often. I should have known Hope about 15 years ago and should have reached out to her more often and collaborated with her more often. I probably would have saved some time and frustration if I had. CORD's work helps stakeholders across the career pathways ecosystem strengthen industry education partnerships to ensure learners are armed with the academic, technical, and employability skills they need to be successful in an evolving global economy. She has over 33 years of experience guiding program improvement initiatives in career, technical, and workforce education. Most recently, she's directing the Pathways to Credentials project for the U.S. Department of Education, Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education, and the Necessary Skills Now network for the National Science Foundation's ATE program. She has authored more than 30 professional development courses, toolkits, and guides, and co-authored 2 books on career pathways. Hope was the expert panel chair for the What Works Clearinghouse practice guide on post-secondary CTE for the Institute of Education Sciences and was a career pathways subject matter expert for the President's Advanced Manufacturing Partnership 2.0 Steering Committee. She's a frequent national speaker on career pathways and the future of work. Hope also serves as co-principal investigator of the NSF ATE project, preparing technicians for the future of work. Hope, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Linda. And I'm going to also share my screen, just a moment. All right. Are you seeing slides on your end, Linda?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sometimes screens go black here on this end and I wonder what's happening on the other end. Thanks so much for a little bit of time this afternoon. I am following the trend in highlighting NSF ATE resources like Zach just shared. Our project that I wanted to highlight today and that is featured in the article that we wrote for the newsletter is on preparing technicians for the future of work. And this is a project that has really been a labor of love. It began in late 2018 and very similar to Zach's situation because of the pandemic. We got to do more things for a longer period of time because we had to do them virtually. But I really want to share with you some of the resources the project has created that you can use right away, but also kind of challenge your thinking as we think about the future of technician education programs and what that should consist of, who we should partner with to make sure that our students are prepared for the workplace of the future. And we know that preparing tomorrow's technicians for tomorrow's workforce is really a complicated business because of this evolving landscape of skill requirements that we're seeing and the re-architecting, if you will, of roles, because we have some jobs that are disappearing, others are merging, converging, and still yet others are emerging. And really those roles are going to continue to change as manufacturers continue their journey toward the smart factory and industry 4.0, 5.0, and beyond. So the skills technicians need to be workforce ready are changing every day. And in fact, the most recent Future of Jobs reports estimates that 40% of manufacturing worker skills will change by 2027. So the pathways we offer have to continually adapt to these new workforce realities. So through the Preparing Technicians project, we have been asking some pretty big questions, really to drive discussion and action around how technicians are prepared for the evolving world of work. So what technologies are being rapidly adopted? How is technology changing? What technicians need to know and be able to do? What new knowledge and skills are needed? Are there any that all STEM technicians need? And then how will colleges teach this new knowledge and skills? So one of the things that we began our first step, if you will, in the project was really to do a landscape analysis of what was happening with respect to research on work of the future at the time. In 2018, pre-pandemic, a lot of it was very, I don't want to say all theoretical, but one of the things that wasn't happening in much of the research space was we were not looking at the technician role and how technicians were being impacted by the changing workforce, the workplace rather, and these impacts of converging technologies. So we really wanted to get out there in the wilderness, if you will. So we did a lot of industry site visits and interviews with technicians, with technician managers across the country, companies like Toyota and InSinkerator. We held focus groups with ATE faculty from the STEM disciplines and from industry advisors as well, from advisors from manufacturing and IT, ranging from cybersecurity to AI subject matter experts. And we also convened employers and their education partners in regions across the country to really get down to brass tacks, if you will, and talk about what they were seeing in their classrooms, in their workplace, and where those intersections were so critical in terms of skills for the future, what that needed to look like, and what were really the priorities for their local region. So all of that information was gathered, and we did a lot of different exercises to get down to a granular level to ask folks to really prioritize which skills are most important for all STEM technician roles. You know, what can we do to help future-proof students for the future workplace? And what we developed then through, it was really an iterative process over time, were a set of 3 major skill areas: data knowledge and analysis, advanced digital literacy, and business knowledge and processes. And then 14 skill sets within each of those, within the overall, what we call the cross-disciplinary STEM core. And it really lays out the need for multi-skilled technicians. It doesn't mean that all students need to be well-versed on all of these skills as they're preparing for their careers, but it does identify those elements that are truly priorities and that should be considered as foundational skill areas that technicians should be at least exposed to. So one of the things that the framework does is really lay out these areas, recommends specific steps that college faculty and administrators, as well as employers, can take towards supporting the addition of these new foundational level skills for technician education, regardless of the STEM discipline. We also created a toolkit, and it's really about guiding educators towards the integration of the STEM core. So there's step-by-step guidance, there's 6 big steps, and then lots of little sub-steps that you can take as well, and a whole collection of instructional resources that you can download right now. Things that are great resources for convening employers in your local area to prioritize these topics, tools to help faculty determine curriculum gaps and where there's some options to integrate some of these new topics into their courses, resources for developing scenarios with your employer partners, and then lots of considerations for professional development opportunities, both to participate in and to host. So it's really about systemic change, stepping out of our silos and really looking across programs and across the college and thinking about how that cross-disciplinary collaboration can occur. So the last piece I'll share with you is that we've developed instructional cards that are really just bite-sized pieces, standalone lessons that you can download for free. There's an instructor card and a student card, multiple file formats to make it easy for you to infuse them into whatever course delivery media you use, but it's really about exposing students to important applications of technology relevant to their future careers. And we wanted to make sure that instructors had tools to kind of dip their toe in some of these particular topic areas that aren't necessarily from their discipline. And it's also a great tool for team teaching across disciplines as well. We've seen several of the faculty that we have had pilot these materials have collaborated with other instructors from other program areas, and it's been a really nice project-based learning experience for both classes. So here's a link and a QR code takes you to our Preparing Technicians for the Future of Work website. All the resources I mentioned are there and lots of other goodies. So thanks, Linda, for the opportunity to share.
I received a sneak preview from Sally K. Janes at San Jacinto College, and it's incredible that you've taken it to such detail in such a short period of time during a pandemic. And for all of you watching, I mean, this is a full-blown job aids and curriculum for faculty. I mean, it's amazing. It's a curriculum that for professional development for faculty, for pieces of curriculum. It's amazing to be able to integrate these items into their curriculum. Hope, have any of the partner schools integrated this into their curriculum already? And do you have any good examples or places to contact so that people can follow up?
Well, San Jacinto is a great
Oh.
example. And I'll tell you a little bit about how they evolved in their work with us. And I just want to add a shout out to Dr. Marilyn Barger, who I noticed is in the room with us today. Marilyn was a collaborator with me and a whole host of team members on this project, and was out there in the weeds, if you will, doing those technician interviews and really communicating with faculty about the process of integrating all of these new technologies, you know, as they're impacting their local employers. And so that's one of the things that SanJack actually did with us initially, was they were one of the hosts of those regional convenings, and they had intended it to be in person in May of 2020, and that did not come to pass. So we did the convening with them virtually over a series of 3 Fridays, focusing on each of those 3 skill areas. And not only did we, look at some instructional tools, to begin to introduce students to those topics, but also to really think about how faculty can collaborate with one another as they're thinking about where those intersection points are for cross-disciplinary skills. So SanJack's, initial experience with us was very kind of informal, very conversational, but then the employers that they had invited to the convening, we discovered within just the virtual breakout rooms, the opportunity for some collaboration, and the team at SanJack, with faculty and employer partners, started to develop some of their own resources patterned off the ones that we had created kind of as templates for the project. So we say it's definitely a team effort, great opportunities and resources for collaboration. And we've seen other colleges do similar things, but also very different things with respect to adoption, because it is all about local priorities and collaborating with your employers to find out which of those 44 skills are really highest priority for them.
That's good to know. And they're only on the other side of Houston, so I can ask easily. Does anyone, thank you to all the panelists. Those were wonderful overviews of your articles. Of course, the full articles are in the NCATC newsletter. We appreciate your thoughtfulness, and it's so amazing to work with each of you on the board and to know you and be able to follow up and obtain more information from you. Does anyone on the webinar today have any questions? I put a note in there, but I don't see any responses. Anyone have any questions or anything you'd like to ask? Everyone's shy these days. No one even wants to put their picture up. No?
Linda, I have a question for Hope.
Mhm.
Hope, Where can we find those resources? And then is there in those, is there a like a mentor or an opportunity to have dialogue around with another group or perhaps somebody that worked with you to just kind of talk through what we see as a resource and how they've problem solved the use of that for the
Uh,
curriculum?
Yes, yes to both. I can put the
Cool.
QR code back up or drop the, I'll just type. It's preparingtechnicians.org. That was
Awesome.
the QR code. I'll put that in the chat. And you'll see buttons for all those things that I kind of highlighted this afternoon. And in terms of visiting with others, yes, we have had a number of technical assistance cohorts with a number of colleges, all who would be willing to share their experiences. And you can also take advantage of some technical assistance support from our project team and even some workshops that we have made available as well. So just reach out to me and let me know what needs you have, and we'll help you connect with practitioners in the field, as well as provide some professional development too.
Thank you.
Hope, this is Marilyn. There's also those 3 webinars we did at the end to kind of summarize the work that we did for a good overview. You might want to point to those.
Yeah, those are great. Thanks for the reminder, Marilyn. We have 3 webinars that you could even use for your own professional development or share with other faculty that are right under the button called webinars. And we have over 50 podcasts that are absolutely fabulous interviews with technicians, with futurists, with people who are really doing some very interesting work, in many cases on the bleeding edge of these converging technologies. So check those out too.
Anyone else? Questions, thoughts? Does anyone else have anything that they'd like to share with us that you're doing in this area of future of work and Industry 4.0? Even another board member? No? Then I will give it back to you, Craig.
Well, it's just amazing how so much information can be put into a 40-minute or 50-minute bucket with 4 experts from the field. I'm so thrilled that all 4 of you are leading NCATC's board and guiding me through every twist and turn as we move into the future work every day. I can't say more than this was a great capsule of all that we did last week over a 3-day period in Racine at Gateway, and continue to do in all the things we do with AACC. And hopefully you've all marked on your calendars, those of you who are not on the board of directors for NCATC, January 28th through the 31st of 2025, we'll all be together at the AACC Workforce Development Institute in San Diego, California. Let's hope it doesn't rain this time we go to the West Coast, right? But we really keep all of these webinars online. And so come the next few days, look on the website and you'll see a link for this recorded webinar with all these great speakers and links to the newsletter that just came out yesterday, so you can read even deeper stories about what you heard today. And then mark on your calendars for the last drop-in for NCATC, the end of the year. It will be on December 12th at 1 p.m. Central Time, and it'll be focused on pillar number 3 for us, which is all about competency-based education, applied learning and training, and really integrating industry-recognized credentials, those things that really matter to industry, coupled with everything you heard today. We have these pillars that wrap around each other. And I know that the first presentation or 2 talked very much about lifelong learning. That's our 4th pillar. So it all kind of meshes together about where we are and where we need to be in skills-based training and learning and hiring, for that matter. So thank you all, Hope, Zach, Richard, and Claire, and a big thank you to Linda for your amazing moderation skills as well, and all the participants. Please ping everybody if you need more follow-up, and look for us online through LinkedIn, Facebook, and on our website, ncatc.org. Have a great rest of the week, everyone, and thank you.